I asked my girlfriend for childhood images for a gift project and discovered a secret video of her with a close friend. She burst out weeping, claiming she erased it years ago. I've had a connection with Kat, F26, for a little over 2 years. I am quite pleased with the connection. She is just what I didn't know I needed. Small disagreements arise from time to time, but the ones that require a conversation are resolved 2 hours later, when we've both had a chance to calm down. She enjoyed a picture montage I made of our travels, so I was thinking of producing one from when she was born until the first shot we'll take when she moves in with me in February, when her lease expires. I needed old images of her for an assignment, so I asked her and explained that I needed them. She gave me an external hard drive and stated the folder labeled Recollections would have all of her images, but they would be out of order, and that there would be photos with her ex-boyfriend from a summer trip they had overseas that she preserved for memories of the trip itself. Yesterday I sat down to begin reviewing the photographs. There are several of them, and they are all out of sequence, so I chose at random. As I scrolled down, I noticed a folder in the center of the photographs. Weird name with a few brackets and random numbers with letters that indicated it had stuff. I opened it. It had 2 photos and 1 video. The photographs included a snapshot of some shoes from a shopping app and a selfie with a thumb covering half of the lens. Then I received the video. Short, 53 seconds. The first 7 or 8 seconds show someone fumbling with what appears to be a phone. The camera then goes down to see the cat's nude rear. With the movements and sounds, it is clear that she is having sex with someone. To be clear, this does not constitute proof of cheating. She has a back tattoo that she has been adding over the years. Her hair is much shorter in the video than it was when I met her. Based on previous images, I believe she was between 18 or 19 years old at the time. Now, we both know that neither of us was virgins when we met, but it is disturbing for me to have that information imprinted on my brain through visual aids. Of course, she isn't doing anything illegal, but 3 thoughts are racing through my mind. First, she was wearing what I can only describe as crotchless underwear with a rabbit tail. To the side, I could see what appeared to be a little whip, similar to what jockeys use. She never exhibited any interest in this type of stuff with me, but what bothers me the most is that at one point I notice her right wrist has a handcuff with fluffy pink hair around it, with the other handcuff open to the side. This bothers me since she despises being held by her wrists. The first time I used it during sex, she practically stiffened and froze on the spot, so I stopped what I was doing to check on her. She told me not to do it again. I really told her that night to give me a safe word so that if I ever did something she wasn't comfortable with, she could say the word and I'd stop. Thankfully, I've never had to use it. Now my mind is trying to make sense of it, and I'm frightened that she doesn't trust me for some reason, at least not as much as she seemed to have trusted this person. The video exists. She enjoys shooting images, but nothing excessively sexual, just some provocative clothing, but even they don't show too much skin. She is really rather provocative and occasionally inappropriate while texting or speaking on the phone, but she once told me to forget about any nudes or movies since she would not send them or allow me to capture them. I don't mind, because I like to see everything live. Now I saw a video. The third and most bothersome issue. I'm fairly certain the guy is a friend of hers, Mark M26. At the end of the video, when he moves to turn off the camera, he points it at his wrist. There is a tattoo there that matches Mark's. I strongly doubt she encountered 2 men with the same tattoo in the same location. And they've been buddies since their freshman year of college, so that fits the time frame. This is not someone about whom I will remark, oh, they are BFFs, they are always together, they spend time alone in their apartments. They meet each other around once a month, when their group gets together for dinner or drinks. I actually accompany her more often than not. I've been going mad trying to recreate their exchanges, seeking for any indications that I may have missed of something other than friendship, but I'm coming up empty. He also has a girlfriend, and he looks at her in the same manner I do. I don't expect Kat to tell me about every hookup and relationship she's had in the past, but if she sees someone on a daily basis, I'd want some kind of heads up, especially since it appears to be more than just a casual affair, based on the entire arrangement. This is making me crazy. My actual brain understands she hasn't done anything wrong and that I'm probably overreacting, but my body's stress reaction is currently at its highest. I know I'll need to speak with her tomorrow before I let this fester any longer. I already had a horrible night's sleep. Tonight, I don't anticipate things to improve, and I'm scared that having this talk without a clear head may lead to problems that I don't want to have. And, to be honest, I'm hesitant to go down this rabbit hole. Jesus, what a rant this has turned into. Sorry for the wall of writing. It appears I had more to vent than I imagined. How will I approach the conversation tomorrow? Edit, maybe my English isn't as good as I wanted, since I honestly don't get how many people think I want to perform BDSM with my girlfriend and am upset that she is doing it with someone else. I've never done it, and I can't picture myself liking it, so I'd only do it if asked. My question is, if she is interested in this, why has she not brought it up throughout our 2-year relationship? And it doesn't help that this appears to be a buddy rather than an ex, which is either an ex and she concealed it from me when we discussed previous relationships at the start of our own, or she had an FWB scenario or whatever else happened there. Is the lack of context in the video causing my head to spin, which is why I need to speak with her before the blasted burst, and why I went out for help to avoid making this situation worse than it already is. And no, I did not go through her phone to acquire images. Instead, I asked her for them, and she gave me an external HD and told me which folder to look in. The HD had more folders, but I didn't open them. The video was stored in a weirdly titled folder within the Recollections folder. I'm chatting to her tonight once she gets home from work. She already knows something is up. I couldn't sleep yesterday, so she came back to check why I wasn't in bed that late. She checked on me this morning. You haven't been yourself in the previous 2 days. What's going on? I just told her that I'm stressed for no obvious reason and not to worry. There is no purpose in having a talk before she departs for work. I can't promise to update this after we chat today since I don't believe I'll be able to think about it. But I suppose I will ultimately say something. For the time being, I am going offline. Update November 2nd, 2024. Some folks had requested for an update, so I suppose this is it. I'd want to thank everyone who provided genuine advice on what I asked in my article, rather than criticizing me for whatever reason they deemed worthy of condemnation. Several individuals advised me to listen to her, rather than make the chat into an interrogation, which saved me from complicating our interaction. The original post was lengthy. This update may also be quite lengthy. She read this before I uploaded, so everything I wrote was with her permission. I received a call from an old buddy to check in on me after my girlfriend phoned him concerned about my conduct over the prior 2 days. When I mentioned that I would need to talk to her about it, he remarked, "That's fine, but keep in mind that Kat is not Mary. My ex don't carry that baggage with you if you have a problem. Speak it out with your girlfriend, but don't blame someone else." It was like a light switch had turned. I was so terrified out that I didn't recognize how much of what I was feeling was triggered by earlier trauma. Basically, I'm frightened of going through anything similar again. When she arrived home, she was immediately eager to chat with me. I told her that if she wanted to take a shower, I would make some tea and we could talk. I told her I loved her and wasn't blaming or angry with her. I was going through something, and she was the only one I could speak to who could help me get through it. I needed her to be honest and not attempt to conceal anything from me. I only asked when you handed me the external HD so I could acquire those photographs. Were you aware that there is a video in there of you and someone who I believe is Mark having sex? That is not conceivable. I removed it years ago. That's what she murmured before bursting into tears. She hugged me, and I hugged her back, largely out of impulse. In between screaming and wailing, she asked me not to be angry and to listen to her explanation. I emphasized that I was not angry, that I would listen to anything she had to say, and that she only needed to be honest with me. When she calmed down, she told me this. It occurred around 3 weeks after her 19th birthday. She had split up with her high school boyfriend approximately 2 months before. They were both quite intoxicated, hanging around in her apartment living room after a night out, and things quickly became physical. She explained that the next morning, they were both quite self-conscious about everything. Mark was terrified that she would think he was taking advantage of her, because she had recently broken up. She was afraid that Mark had affections for her, as she simply regarded him as a friend. They eventually agreed that it was a drunken encounter that neither of them wanted to pursue further. When Mark questioned her if she recalled creating a video, they examined both of their phones and discovered a video and snapshot on her phone, which she deleted at the time. She never saw them again and felt they were gone. According to her, they avoided each other for the following few months due to the discomfort, and nothing else occurred. I had been studying her while she spoke. She maintained eye contact and appeared strained, but nothing surprising. Overall, I didn't see any reason not to trust her. And what about the handcuffs? Her pals gave her a joke birthday gift. It simply happened to be in the room when they arrived, and they thought it would be amusing to open the set. We only discussed this yesterday at the time. I had more important questions. As for not notifying me in the first place, when she began seeing her ex, Mark was out of the country, so she never mentioned it to him. When Mark returned, her ex had already shown signals of jealousy and control for no apparent reason, so she chose not to add fuel to the fire. Mark began seeing a girl and told her that they had been together a long time ago when she asked. His girlfriend told her ex-boyfriend in the midst of a group outing. Her ex raged, she ended up splitting up with him, and things spiraled out of hand, to the point of harassment and stalking. Mark's relationship crumbled later because the girl viewed Kat's breakup with her ex as confirmation that she has feelings for you and went crazy. She never told me because she was worried about how I would respond and whether I would follow in her ex's footsteps. And by the time she realized I wouldn't go that road, It had been so long that she simply let it go. She apologized, confessed it was a mistake decision on her side, and that she should have notified me, and allowed me decide whether I was okay with it. When she mentioned her ex being aggressive, I gently inquired as to whether he was the source of her wrist-holding issue. He was not. He was verbally and mentally aggressive, but never physically. It was someone else after she split up with her ex, someone from her friend's circle. He had a hidden crush on her, was intoxicated at a party, they were alone on a small balcony, and when he proposed, she friend-zoned him. He approached, and she tried to stop him by placing her hands on his chest, but he grabbed her wrists and pushed her against a wall. One of her friends noticed it through the window and assisted. The person was cut off by the pals group, and the last she knew, he had departed to work somewhere else. Still, she was aware that if they had been alone, it might have been much worse, and what I did to her was only a reaction to the recollection. Also, this explains some of her habits when we first started dating. She appeared to require time to ensure she was comfortable being alone with me, and I now understand why. After that, I was exhausted, as I'm sure anyone who had read this far would be. I went silent for a time, rehashing everything. She approached me, grasped my hands, and apologized again, saying she couldn't make what I saw disappear, but it was in the past, and she just needed to know what else she could do to make things better for me. At that time, my brain was shot. Then she did something that took me completely off guard. She phoned Mark on the phone. I replaced him on the loudspeaker, motioned for silence, and asked him whether he could talk or was near to his girlfriend. His response was, "That is an odd thing to ask. I am alone. Is there something wrong?" She informed him I had watched the video. Essentially, the entire discussion corroborated what she told me. I did not say anything, so he had no idea I was listening. After freaking out with "I saw you delete that shit," he described it as a one-time meaningless event and an intoxicated hookup that continues to haunt us. I was also scared that I would tell his girlfriend about my psychotic ex. So, after all of this, she asked if I needed space, but I told her that I wanted her nearby if she didn't want to be in bed with me. She could sleep in my study, but she also wanted to be close. We spent yesterday together, did not attend the scheduled party, but instead spoke and stayed close. She and Mark will take a break from their friendship, he told his girlfriend, who handled it better than I did, but they decided that some space is preferable at this juncture. My GF also volunteered to only go out with the group if I was present, regardless of whether Mark was there or not. Aside from that, I just requested her to give me some time and not attempt to start sex right now, since I want to be absolutely clear-headed and relieve the stress that had built up earlier. It will take some time, but I feel like I have the ground beneath my feet, so I'm optimistic. I believe that now, after talking everything out, I just need a little time to settle. Next tale, do all of the chores while working from home, yet my wife boasts to her friends that she does everything. I also threw away the sandwiches I packed for her at work. Hello everyone. My wife 41F and I 42M have been married for 15 years. I evidently astonished her by demonstrating my ability to perform home duties and tasks, something I had previously underestimated. When I was a youngster, my mother always asked me to help with housework, so I never thought it was beneath me. I believe I inherited her extreme cleaning habits, as if a mess is so horrible that I can't eat until it's cleaned up. My mother is an outstanding chef. My aunt was a professional chef at a posh hotel, and my father enjoyed hosting barbecues. It was natural to learn from them and take up a few things. The one thing I didn't learn was how to brew a good cup of tea or coffee. I'm truly terrible at it. It came to the point where I was doing the majority of the housework and cooking, which I prefer anyway because she always comes home fatigued. I've been asking our children, 11F and 9M, to help with some little housework in the hopes of teaching them how to do the same. She has a group of friends that meet on a regular basis this time. It was her turn to host the group at her house. I volunteered to take our children away for the day, and everything was arranged. Before we went, I needed to wrap off some work. The office sits literally on top of our living room, so I could hear everything they were saying the entire time. One of the friends inquired as to how she always maintained our house so clean, and my wife just boasted about how she was responsible for everything. Then they all began discussing about their issues with their marriages. A recurring issue was that their wives were useless. I was uneasy, so I left the workplace and went out with the kids. I returned after they had departed for the night, and continued to act normally until we arrived at our bedroom. I asked her what was wrong with their chat, and reminded her that I performed the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally, and that she only wanted to fit in with her friends' troubles. Now I simply feel undervalued, especially because she never expressed sincere thanks for anything I do. She hasn't been very nice to me since. She accuses me of weaponizing my actions against her, and holding them over her head. I don't expect her to laud me every time I clean or defend me religiously. A little help from my husband, who does his fair bit, would be wonderful. I can't help but feel that her friends think I'm a slacker who comes home to rest and ignores her. Update 1 October 23, 2024. I'm surprised this post got so popular, especially because I made every effort to communicate with my wife yesterday. I simply cannot believe that this is the lady I married. I tried talking to her, telling her that what she did wasn't a huge issue, but it was still not a pleasant thing to do. She didn't appreciate my bringing it up again and just ordered me to suck it up and quit complaining over one mistake. She apologized, but in a tone that indicated she was tired of dealing with this. I sensed she was getting quite agitated and on the edge of beginning an argument, so I backed off and moved on to another issue. I asked whether we might change our household responsibilities to make them more equitable for both of us, as I was in charge of the most of our management. I mean around 90% of stuff such as cooking and cleaning. I am responsible for organizing our family's trips and date evenings. I believe it's problematic that she can just come home and tell me she's tired. Then she got up in my face, telling me that I had no right to lecture her about chores since I was nearly always at home. She utterly refused to listen to me and simply stated that what we have works best for our scenario. She pushed it in my face that she was the breadwinner, which ultimately balanced things out. Even this morning she was upset with me and came downstairs in a terrible attitude. I'm sure our kids noticed, but I drove them to school once they were ready. When I returned, I found that my wife had left her packed lunch on the kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here, feeling as if the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. I suppose I'll have to press this subject properly, even if she becomes upset. She has been avoiding my text messages and calls. I can't just let her do this, especially in front of our children. Update 2 October 24, 2024. I guess I am done at this point. I did something I'd never done before. I went into her phone when she was sleeping. We both knew each other's passwords, so it wasn't very tough. Some of the cheating comments got to me, and I became rather nervous about the issue. Instead, I discovered a group chat with some of her business buddies, which differed from the other folks she had over. It was a constant parody of me, and some of the things I did for her. She told them how humiliated she is to be with me, and how I treat her like a parent, rather than her spouse. The meals I bring for her are embarrassing since they contain chocolates and other delights that I know she enjoys. Some of her coworkers ridiculed her about the food I had prepared for her, and she admitted to just tossing them away at work. She doesn't mind eating them at home. Then why does she toss out my baking at work? She said several harsh things about me during our conversation, some of which I won't put here. One of her memes featured me on my knees scrubbing a bathroom tile while dressed in a 1960s-style housewife outfit. I just closed her phone and exited the bedroom. I challenged her with the conversation from the morning and the substance of it, which had her panicked. I focused on our children this morning and left her to her own devices. She wouldn't have liked a kid's meal anyhow. Now she's messaging me nonstop at work, but I fear I've lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and humiliating as a spouse, but I later discover that she mocks me in front of her friends and discusses delicate marital matters in her group chat. This will probably be the final update. I don't think she can recover from this. We recently celebrated our 15th anniversary last month. I feel like a loser now that I know what my wife thinks of me. Comment where OP has responded, and are you a stay-at-home father? OPP, we both work. She makes over $100,000 each year, while I make around $70,000. She makes more, but she is not the sole provider in our household. What makes my job excellent is that my supervisor allows me a lot of freedom. So I may work from home and care for the house and kids as long as I notify him. Final update November 12, 2024. I know I'm going to get some backlash for my decision at the end of it all, but I gave my wife one more opportunity. She really apologized for her conduct and the way she treated me around 2 weeks ago. In her own words, she let the criticisms of her coworkers and best friends to influence her too much. My wife wanted to feel involved in the group, so she played both sides, one with a worthless husband and one with a clinging spouse. She isn't using them as an excuse and has accepted full responsibility for how terribly she treated me, which is an A. She recommended we seek marriage therapy and insisted on handling the planning herself to demonstrate her commitment to making this work. She has copied me on her conversations with a counselor, but our first visit is still a bit away. She also stepped up at home, taking on extra responsibilities without being asked. The praises I used to receive have also returned, so I feel a bit more valued. My wife assured me that she would stop lying to her friends and give me the credit I deserved. I'm not sure about my work buddies, but their impressions of me will remain unchanged even after she spoke with them. Part of this feels dishonest, because this happened only after we got ourselves into a horrible situation. Perhaps it's just bitterness talking. I really hope this works out for us and the kids. And, no, she has not been cheating or has a person in her ear feeding her lies. A number of DMs have asked about it.